My first pastor taught me for 20 years that preachers should live off the money their flocks provide. Before following the call to preach, he had a successful dental lab, making false teeth, crowns and bridges. He gave that up, took a huge cut in pay, and devoted his life to his church. Because I was taught to, I have for many years believed that it is wrong for a preacher to divide his time and attention with a secular job. My old pastor was always available to talk, attend funerals, visit in the hospital, and preach the gospel. If a preacher has a 9-to-5 job, he will sometimes not be available when needed. In Malachi chapter 3, the Lord asks the prophet, "Will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, Wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offerings." The priests lived off the temple offerings. There were tremendous expenses in running the temple. Wood for sacrifices, oil for lamps, incense, water to clean up, food for the workers, pay for the staff and priests, upkeep of the facility, and much more. Just like then, today churches need money. Pastors have families, houses, and material needs. All this is expensive. The church members are expected to provide. 1 Corinthians chapter 9 supports the theory that pastors should live off the fruits of their ministry. Do you not know that they which minister about holy things live of the things of the temple, and they which wait at the altar are partakers with the altar? Even so hath the Lord ordained that they which preach the gospel should live of the gospel. So it is clear the church should provide a living for the pastor. It is not clear if you keep reading. In verse 18, Paul says, "What is my reward then? Verily that when I preach the gospel, I may make the gospel of Christ without charge, that I abuse not my power in the gospel. For though I be free from all men, yet have I made myself servant unto all, that I might gain the more." He reiterates this message in 1 Thessalonians chapter 2. "For you remember, brethren, our labour and travail, for labouring night and day, because we would not be chargeable unto any of you, we preached unto you the gospel of God." Paul worked his profession of making tents during the day and preached nights and weekends. So, what should preachers do? Well, it depends on the preacher and his situation. In today's world, there are many examples of preachers who balance their ministry with other professions. Some may work in education, business or healthcare, while others might be involved in community services. Each preacher's situation is unique, and their approach to ministry can vary widely based on their personal circumstances and the needs of their congregation. I know a preacher who has a day job because he has a handicapped child that requires expensive health care. Most churches could not afford to provide the level of health care his child requires. He has a state job with tremendous benefits. Should he be looked down upon because he does not look to God to provide for his son's needs? I know a preacher that sells real estate to augment his living. He has a good-sized church that pays him a decent salary, a parsonage and a vehicle. There's no retirement plan in this denomination, and he feels the need to build up his 401k so he will not be in poverty, just relying on Social Security when he retires. Should he be looked down upon for not trusting God to provide? I currently attend a non-denominational church whose pastor does not take a salary from the church. He is a hard worker, has always been working a landscaping business and doing odd jobs while he worked for small churches who could not provide for him. He bought a tract of land and developed it. He now has a campground where he rents spaces to several people and does not need a salary from a church. This independence gave him the liberty to start a mission out in the country near my home. He purchased land and has plans for a school, feeding the hungry and helping the needy. He did not have to ask any church conference for permission. He does not have to worry about the powers that be telling him to shut down the soup kitchen. Providing housing to the poor will not need to be approved by a deacons committee. If he starts preaching too much truth, the church elders will not tell him to tone it down. Do you think he has too much freedom? Here's the answer to all these questions. It is between the pastor and God. If a pastor agrees not to do outside work in order to be the pastor at a church, he should honor that commitment. If a pastor does not make that commitment and works a second job, that is none of anyone's business. Christians were not put on this earth to monitor the work habits and spiritual health of any other Christian. It is not your job. Touch not God's anointed. Don't do it. It is time the church stops having roast preacher for dinner after church. It is not your job to point out the faults of anyone else. Don't do it. If you feel you should tell the preacher what for, keep it to yourself. The Lord struck Miriam with leprosy for speaking against Moses. Take a cue. Read your Bible. Take heed its warnings. Please like, share and subscribe. This helps us to share the gospel. May the Lord help you to speak encouraging words that build up the body of Christ.